In front of us is the Quebec Pavilion, originally set between the Ontario and French pavilions. The archival photos help us to imagine it in 1967. At night, it glows, revealing its interior space. During the day, the gently inclined glass walls reflect the immensity of the sky. You should know that the Quebec Pavilion received international recognition at the time of its inauguration. Ada Louise Huxtable, critic for the New York Times, compared it to the Barcelona Pavilion, one of the most emblematic monuments of modern architecture. The international press highlighted the clarity and the formal purity of the Quebec Pavilion's architecture. Here is one of the architects who designed the Quebec Pavilion, Luc Durand.
Because of our location, we did not want to reflect the influence of anyone else, not Anglicization or the influence of France or the efforts of other provinces. These did not interest us. We wanted to be ourselves. Therefore, we had to be transparent during the day, and at night, one had to be able to see inside. Transparent from the inside during the day, but opaque in a sense, with the glass walls gently inclined toward the sky, and like mirrors reflecting time, light, the sun, but not our neighbors. The way I conceived it, the pavilion had to be in the water. We survived here because of water. It was absolutely necessary to have a strong symbol. The four elevators was an exhibit in itself. The elevator was a kaleidoscope rising very slowly to the music that Gilles Tremblay had composed. It was electronic music.
Luc Durand is actually talking about the great composer Gilles Tremblay. This composition is called Sainte-Hélène.
The themes of the exhibit were accompanied by this dodecaphonic music. The music was interesting when you were able to go through the exhibit while listening to it. Out of context, it is weird.
But Quebecers are not conquered by their pavilion. Let's listen to Alessandra Mariani, historian and director of the magazine Muséologie.
Most people do not understand the concept. They understand that it is very avant-garde, innovative, but they would have preferred to see their own story told.
People did not recognize themselves in this pavilion. They wanted to see something more tangible. Apple pies, sugar cabins. It was beautiful, but with a beauty that was not defined in decorating catalogs.
What, then, explains the failure to preserve the Quebec Pavilion? Was it due to a gap between the vision of the architects and the vision of the public?
After Expo, the Quebec government gave the pavilion to the city of Montreal. The following summer, the city transformed the building to make it more approachable to the majority of Quebecers. The newspapers emphasized that the pavilion is finally becoming something more familiar. Meanwhile, its architects felt cold anger. The pavilion was closed in 1972, only to reopen 8 years later to serve as a showroom for different exhibitions of handicrafts. In 1994, it was given to Lotto Quebec. The interior was then redesigned. The bluish curtain wall is replaced by golden glass panels, making the building look like a gold bar, perfect for a casino.
Notice the sculpture in the water to your right, formed by small sheets of steel. This is a work entitled Acier, French for steel, by the artist Pierre Evert. His design is inspired by the theme of the Quebec Pavilion, the challenge, the struggle, and the momentum. Our next stop is the French Pavilion.
Vive Montréal! Vive le Québec! Vive le Québec libre!